Alright guys, welcome to the Jerry Rigger channel. Thanks for watching. Don't forget to like and subscribe. Today's video is all about replacing my stereo 8-track in my old 1981 Corvette with a new radio from Custom Auto Sound. This is not a hugely expensive radio. It's only about 150 bucks or so. I don't remember the exact price. My wife got it for me for Christmas. But the old radio has been a problem for, well, since I got the car. It's never worked properly. I bought this particular new radio because it made by Custom Auto Sound, because it is supposed to plug right in. I don't have to do anything as far as you know, cutting or splicing into wires or anything. It's supposed to plug right into my year Corvette, which made a lot of sense to me because I don't like to do a whole lot of modifications to my Corvette. I like to keep it as original as possible, at least for the moment. So I did want to replace the stereo 8-track with something that worked, something a little newer, just because, you know, and I may go back and fix this. But it's not like I'm ever going to use 8 tracks, so I didn't really see any point in keeping this part of the car original, especially since the new one I can use an auxiliary plug-in. So let's get started. As you can tell, this thing needs a good cleaning. See, you gotta get right there. So the best thing to do, if you have a Chapman set or a little ratchet screwdrivers, that would probably be the best. But that's kind of a stupid place to put a screw. I can't hold the camera and do this at the same time, but you guys get the drift, right? See all the way back. So a little bit extra clearance. Pull this forward. And these screws aren't the original screws either. They're just ones that I found that fit. I don't know who put them in there originally. Now this is a very weak spot on this panel. If you're, like I say, mine's broken. It was been broken, but I've had to make special, take special care when I take it off, especially on the other side, that I don't break the other side. Just because, like I say, that panel's only about this thick in that spot. So. Okay, so anyway, this is just a little car or cup holder that I put in here. I bought that aftermarket. See that? again, I don't think these are the original screws. Pretty sure they didn't come with flathead. People just use whatever they got laying around, which is fine. I do the same thing. Just makes it harder for the next guy. And it really sucks when the next guy's you. There we go. Righty-tighty, lefty-loosey. Unfortunately, I'm working with my father-in-law's tools today, so I don't really have everything I need. So this is alright, so I'm gonna just pull these old knobs right off. I don't know if those will fit the new stereo. I'm still trying to decide if I'm going to reuse the old knobs or if they work, or put new ones on, but I came with it. So in the front of this, as you can see, those nuts aren't actually holding onto any of that plastic there. The plastic's actually broken away, I think. So it's not really holding anything anymore, so that'll make it, I guess, easier for me. Alright, this bracket here, I just took the nut off. I think it's one that I made a long time ago, just to hold this thing from flopping all over. This is in pure Jerry Riger fashion. I think this is actually a gutter holder, aluminum gutter holder, one of the inconspicuous kind, the hidden kind that hold it from the top, but I had that in there holding the stereo in place. Now, should be able to kind of lift this up, get to the back of it back here. It looks like there's, let's see, one, looks like there's 3 cables in the back here. Back one on top. Of course they don't want to come out. Of course not. There we go. Where's the black wire? Orange and the brown wire, I guess. Try and do something like that. It ends up breaking the connector. But I don't see any way to undo that other than pop that up. Well, I guess here goes. Alright. So out with the old. Okay, so I've got my old stereo out. As you can see, this is the Stereo 8. It's actually an old 8-track Delco GM stereo. I'm assuming that this is the original one. Makes sense since, you know, 8 tracks were popular for a little while. Okay, so it looks like when the new one comes, you can't plug it into the wrong one here, right? It's keyed different down here than it is up here, so I can only plug it into that one. And then, there's the other one, which we plug into the top. As you can see, there's a fuse here, and it looks like they've got some inline fuses here. Okay. This I'm not really liking too much. I would have thought, I mean, it's all this, I mean, I see why they do it, so they can easily switch from one stereo system to another. But I never really like these kind of barrel connectors, especially when you have open leads basically just hanging out like that. I'm hoping that's the ground wire. But you got two of them. Oh, see, look at that. That's why it's open, because the ends came off of them. So, cheap connectors. Kind of disappointing. I was hoping for something a little bit better quality. But I'll make it work. Okay, so as you can see, I thought I had some heat shrink tubing, but I don't. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to go ahead and use some green electrical tape that I found to tape these up, and we'll call that good. Not really the best way to do it, but it'll suffice. Weighs, geez, it'll probably about 5 pounds. Much heavier than the stereos of today, obviously. The problem I see right here is the mounting screw is on the side. The new one, the mounting screw is on the back. But it is super lightweight, and it does come with what appears to be a pretty long attaching. I'm sure I can bend that and try and make that work somehow. So considering this thing's so light, I think it will probably be okay. We'll find out. And of course it comes with a few screws too, mounting for mounting that, I'm assuming. The wiring, this is supposed to come pre-wired. It looks like this should run into the back. I was a little concerned because my stereo also has this connector, and the new stereo has a one-wire connector that's different. Alright, so another issue I'm dealing with is on the old stereo, the plastic on the back side, it looks like it's on both of these, has broken off. So my only option at this point is just to order another cover, or of course what I'm going to do is jerry rig it. Alright, we'll see how that gets done. Alright guys, so I know you guys were probably waiting to figure out what I was going to do with this. It occurred to me, since they're broken out on the inside, the best thing to do would be to try and find like a cork with a hole in it or something. But then I know, one side's deeper than the other, so I figured I need something kind of flat, maybe not as long as a cork. Thought about it for a few minutes, and this is what I came up with. I bought these less than $3. I think they'll work just fine. They're nice and tapered like I wanted. I'll push them in there and put a washer behind them, and I think that will hold them real tight in there. Obviously I don't want to tighten them up too tight. I don't want to break the plastic again, but after all, it is old brittle plastic. So, but I think that's going to work. We'll try it. All right, so here I'm going to try and use a razor blade and cut these out. We'll see how it goes. I always feel like I need to cut my fingers off when I'm using these things. This is not the sharpest one either, so that's not helping. Don't do what I do. so do it the right way. I am the jerry rigger, so my hands are covered with scars from doing stupid stuff like this. Punch that out now. That's probably good enough, huh? Do the same thing to the other one. Alright, that makes two of them. Let's see how it works. Alright, so I've got the stereo set to about the depth that I want. And I did that. These have big flat screws, or big flat washers on the back side, and I'm just, I just tighten these backing nuts up to where they hit the back side, right where I wanted them, just by hand. This one's still a little loose. Probably need to tighten that one up just a hair bit more, but get that up to where I want it. And then I'm going to drop these down in the center. If I can get them in there. And then I'll put a washer on that and really squeeze them down in there. I kind of did with the other one, just shoved it down in there. Just kept going around. Unfortunately, I'm doing this one-handed, so I'll have to stop, but you get the idea. Okay. So this side worked pretty well. As I shoved it down there, I just used needle nose pliers and just the end of it, just shoved it down in there, and that worked pretty well. It kind of stuck out the top a little bit. On this side, though, that rubber is really hard and it just does not want to go in there because there's no place for that rubber to expand to. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to pull that one back out, cut out about 1/8 of an inch. Alright, so here I am. I'm going to go ahead and cut that 1/8 of an inch out, just like I talked about. And I'll do that. Keep in mind, I've got 2 more of these. If I screw it up, I got another chance to get it right. Two more chances to get it right. Okay, so what I looked a little harder when I was putting this in, and I realized part of the reason that it's not going in as far as I'd like is because it's too actually long. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to actually trim off this way as well. And I think that will do what I need it to do. Okay, so I think I got it in there far enough on both sides. And this is kind of why you watch the Jerry Rigger channel. It's not because I'm particularly good at any one particular thing other than just jerry rigging, and this is the kind of thing that I do. So there it is. I've jerry rigged it, saved myself, I don't know, $120 some, I think it was, on buying a new base plate for the console. So there we go. I'll go ahead and put the nuts on and we'll see how that goes. Okay, so I got both sides on. Got the washer just pressed in the rubber, and of course that rubber, of course, is expanded out, grabbed onto the plastic. I think we'll be good at that point. Probably better than it was originally. Yeah, maybe not. But anyway, I think it's good enough. It'll hold it in place. And actually, I'm so, so happy with it. I'm kind of wondering if I really need to put the screw on the back side. I mean, I'll probably do it anyway, but again, sorry about the jitter. but I think that's gonna work. All right, this screw's a major pain to get to because it's behind the seat back here. And then of course I added some screw holes for installing the cup holder. But you got to move the seat as far as you can forward and down. And you got to press down on the seat to get behind it. This says it's the power. I mean, it says right on it. Battery, right? This is what my old one looks like, right? These two connectors do not fit together. All right. They're not even anywhere close to each other. In the meantime, I'm going to try and pop this wire out and see if I can figure out which one of those is positive. And try and plug that, just manually plug it in to see if that... All right, so I plugged the wire directly in, and now guess what? The stereo came on. So, the wrong connector. Again, irritates the heck out of me. Okay, so this is what the connector is supposed to look like. I popped it off. These are what the old ones were. If you look, there's little tabs on here. Sorry, it's hard to see. See that little tab right there? That little tab holds that in place. Actually, I guess I can throw one of these back on real quick just to show you. All right, so this. Right. When it slides in there, one way it's going to lock. The tabs up. A little tab. See, that's not going to come out, but we stick something sharp in there. Should be able to bend that tab back down and pull it out. And luckily, the new tab is the same way, so I can put the new tab in this connector. I need to trim that out. That's how I'm going to make it work, since I probably need to kind of grind that off a little bit there to make it work. Alright, so I was able to just use a pair of snips, and I was able to just trim off those little edge pieces I showed you. Once I did that, I was able to push the connector into the cable and plug it in. And everything looks like it's going to fit really well now. So we'll go ahead and finish putting it back together. All right, so now one thing, when I was taking this apart, it was getting caught. I couldn't figure out what it was still caught on. But it turned out just to be these sides here, right? They were sticking out, and they were grabbing onto the side of the console and wouldn't let me pull the console out. All right, so the last thing, I think I went ahead and decided I'm going to go ahead and run this into the This is the cable for the stereo. It occurred to me I might want to just get a little portable CD player that I can just set in the dash or set in the glove compartment. And if I do that, then obviously having it going in, the cable going into the glove compartment would be beneficial. But I was really worried about kind of drilling holes in this, because it affects the originality, I guess, of it. But then I kind of look at this thing. I don't know if you guys can see that. There's like 20 holes drilled in this thing already. I don't know why. It doesn't make any sense to me why there's all these holes in there. I mean, if you put something small in the glove compartment, it's going to fall into the abyss, hopefully down into your feet where you can find it. But so anyway, I don't feel quite as bad about drilling a hole in it as I once did. But I will probably bring it in through the side. And then later, if I want to run power up through here for a CD player, I mean, probably just use a little portable CD player that runs off batteries. But if I do decide to run 12-volt power up here, won't be an issue. All right, so I did go ahead and drill a hole on the side for the cable. I made it as small as I could. I just used a step drill, went one step at a time till I could kind of squeeze this through it. And then again, like I say, it's big enough to where I can run some power cables up there later if I decide to, install, a permanent CD player or, some other sort of sound system that, I might want at a later date. And I'll put this in last. I mean, I'll probably just set it in here for now and run the wires down so I can plug it back in. So I get everything plugged in before I put the stereo back in as much as possible. I think we're ready to start putting the stereo back in now. As you can see, I've got this kind of just dangling loose. That way I can maneuver it into place. Go ahead and get everything plugged back in. Kind of weird the way they do that connector into that back panel. I mean, it's kind of common for to see cars do it that way. It's just, I don't know, kind of cheap if you ask me, but that's the way they do it. And it works, so until it doesn't. Okay, so I get a lot of flack sometimes about, hoarding nuts and bolts and tools and stuff like that. I mean, I'm not like the guy who has the engine in his front room or anything, or I mean, I know some people like that, but I'm not that guy. But I do tend to, you know, I don't want to ever get rid of tools and nuts and bolts. I always throw them in a bucket or that kind of thing. But this is why, right? I just spent probably 15-20 minutes looking for a washer, and I was this close to driving to Home Depot to get a damn washer. If I'd have been at my house with my garage and my tools and everything, I would have found this thing in like 30 seconds. But, you know, 15-20 minutes of my life, I'm not getting back looking for this washer. That is why I hoard nuts, bolts, washers, screws, all that stuff. This is why like I say, I'm not getting that time back. And had I had to drive to Home Depot, it would have been an hour of my life that I wouldn't have got back. So there you go. Duct tape. Doesn't look too bad. Let's see how long it lasts on a hot day, huh? Use that till I find something better. Antenna's working, that's good. All right, guys, a little bit of a change of plans. As you can see here, I've got this the mounting bracket that came with the stereo. Originally, my original stereo had this mounting bracket. It went to the side over here, but I just don't think that's gonna provide enough support. Now that I've got it in, I don't know if you can see this, guys, but there's a little bit of flex there, right? I mean, that'll stabilize up a little bit when I got on there, but the new stereo is so much lighter than the old stereo. I thought I'd be able to get by with maybe not even putting this on. But now that I've got it in and I kind of pull on the back a little bit, I can see where that's going to cause a lot of vibration while you're driving down the road. So I do want to go ahead and put that mounting bracket down. I've got it in here. I've got it set to about where I want it. So what I'll do is I'll go ahead and use that tool, that dental tool or whatever you want to call it, pick, and I'll go ahead and mark that where I want that hole, and then I'll go ahead and take the stereo back out and the plate back out, and I'll drill a hole right there so that I can mount that in there solid. That'll hold that a lot better. I won't get all that vibration as I'm going down the road. All right, so I'm just giving you a close-up over here what I did when I had the stereo in and I had the bracket in place where I wanted it. I used this little pick tool to scratch out that area, and so now I know exactly where I need to put my drill. Okay, so I'm going to drill a hole through the top of this. I guess the center console down here. Normally I wouldn't like to drill a hole in my Corvette, but since it's behind the console, no one's ever going to see it. And it is going to make a big difference in how well this this stereo is mounted in here. So I'm going to go ahead and drill a hole, but you know, behind, you know, the right thing to do would be to go down behind the, you know, console, make sure there's nothing back there that I'm going to accidentally drill through if I drill, you know, too deep on this thing. One thing I'm going to do to make sure that I don't drill too far down in there, I don't want to hit, you know, obviously don't want to hit a transmission line or something like that. So I'm going to put a socket on the end of my drill. All right. That's going to prevent the drill from going too deep into, you know, anything that could be down there below it. You know, they make little collars that go on there, and you try and screw them in. I found that they're worthless. They slip the minute you get, you know, minute that drill bit catches and pulls through, that collar will just slide on there. This is hardened metal, and it's not meant to hold a set screw. Okay, so for like the 5th time, I've left my screwdriver in the garage, and I've had to go look for it. The definition of insanity, doing the same thing over and over again and expecting a different result. Or in my case, just doing the same thing over and over again because you forget to put it in your pocket. Anyway. I don't think I'm going to be able to hold the camera and just tighten the screw, so I'm just going to show you right now. Right now I've got it hooked up to the back of the stereo, already bolted on, got there, got where the screw hole is, right? So I'll straighten it out a little bit, and that thing will be ready to go once I get that last screw in. Okay, so you know, kind of hard to see back there in with all the, but I do got that screw installed. As you can see, it's in there pretty tight now. There's no play in the stereo anymore. It's not moving at all, which is perfect because that's, you know, what you want. You don't want that putting that extra stress on that front panel. It's not flexing anymore when I move it up under there. So that should be good. That should last a long time now. So I'll finish putting this cover on, and I think we'll pretty much be done. All right, so one thing I did want to mention regarding this panel, there's 2 screws at the top up here, 2 screws on the side, and there's 2 screws that come up from the bottom here that hold this on. There's all these Allen head looking screws, aren't really screws, they're just plastic. They're just molded into there to look like screws. And I mention it because it looks like at some point somebody actually tried to unscrew them. I mean, they do look fairly realistic. I can see where somebody would make that mistake, but I just wanted to mention that in case, you know, like I say, whoever did this, of course, they just tried to strip out the plastic by using the screws, so, or by trying to actually turn them. But I just wanted to mention that in case anybody, you know, tried to do that. Okay, so I've got another dilemma now. See this? There should be a piece of plastic in it, like the other side. To give you an idea, if you can look down behind this, see that plastic slotted? That's what it should have in it. That's what holds the screw into place. So it occurred to me, you know, I started looking around in true jerry-rigger fashion what I could use. Last time I used one of these, but it was a lot bigger, and I'm not really sure what happened to that one. All right, Alright, so I got everything reinstalled. Stereo's working great. And now it's for the thing that I hate the most about working on anything. Now I gotta go around and pick up the mess, clean up all the tools. Thanks for watching. Don't forget to like and subscribe. And see you next time on the Jerry Rigger channel. Thought I was done. Where'd all these extra screws come from?